You won't believe what America's first black idol Ruben Studdard recently did. He has now spoken out after years of silence and innumerable rumors by sending a sincere and moving message to Jamal Robert, a man that most people have never heard of. Here's the twist though. This message wasn't just any one. For someone he had once considered family, it was his last request. What transpired between them? And after all these years, why now? The soulful powerhouse Ruben Studdard, the first black American Idol winner, has long been renowned for his sweet voice and modest demeanor. However, Ruben's life has not been easy behind the scenes. He recently sent a heartfelt note to a man named Jamal Robert, which has surfaced online and sparked interest and conjecture. Jamal Robert is who? Why, after years of silence, did Ruben decide to contact him now? We're delving further into this poignant topic in today's video, dissecting Ruben's remarks, investigating the two men's past, and exposing the emotional depths that fans have never witnessed before. You will discover Ruben's hardships, his development, and the unexpected motivations behind this parting message of well wishes. Keep reading because there is more to this story than just a lesson. It's about healing, forgiveness, and the importance of reaching out when things get tough. You'll know the true story behind Ruben Studdard's message and why it's so popular by the end of this video. Let's begin. After winning the second season of American Idol in 2003, Ruben Studdard shot to fame across the country. He immediately became a favorite among fans, thanks to his silky gospel-tinged vocals, and his triumph created history as the first black singer to win the crown. Ruben's adventure, however, was more than just the dazzling lights and cheers. A young man dealing with personal issues that few fans were ever aware of was hidden behind his kind grin. Prior to American Idol, Ruben was a regular guy with lofty goals and a strong bond with his family and church. His soulful style was molded by his upbringing in Birmingham, Alabama, where church choirs and music were prevalent. But popularity also came with its own set of demands, including the need to perform well, being watched closely at all times, and fighting to be true to himself in a field that frequently required change. Ruben had to figure out who he was outside of being the Idol winner in the early years following his victory. Rumors and personal struggles followed quickly after albums, tours, and media appearances. Although Ruben kept most of his private life under wraps, there were rumors of strained relationships and personal losses. This leads us to Jamal Robert, a name that few people outside of Ruben's inner circle may be familiar with. Jamal was not just a friend but also a brother to Ruben, and he was a close confidant during those tumultuous times. However, the two subsequently drifted apart for reasons that were kept confidential until that recent poignant note reopened a chapter that many believed had been closed forever. What led to this rift, and why after all these years did Ruben feel the need to get in touch? Much about Ruben's personal journey and the struggles he faced away from the spotlight can be learned from the story of their relationship. We must first examine Ruben Studdard's close relationship with Jamal Roberts in order to comprehend the emotional significance of his most recent message. A friendship that went much beyond simple acquaintanceship. Jamal Robert was more than a companion. During some of the most trying times in his life, Ruben trusted him, and he was like a brother figure. Jamal was a regular behind-the-scenes presence in the early 2000s, when Ruben's life shot to stardom virtually suddenly. According to friends and insiders, Jamal gave Ruben a sense of stability and groundedness by encouraging him to remain modest and loyal to himself in the face of the hectic world of stardom. Jamal was more than just a friend to Ruben. Jamal was someone who was there when others weren't, who could identify to the highs and heartbreaking lows, and who understood the pressures of unexpected celebrity. However, there were issues with their friendship. According to people close to Ruben, disagreements started to emerge as his career developed. The two gradually drifted apart, whether it was due to personal miscommunications, business decision disputes, or just the stress of hectic schedules and large distances. Their lack of public engagement and social media silence fueled rumors that their relationship was over. Some even conjectured that there was no longer any communication between the two. Ruben kept silent about what actually transpired for years. Ruben stayed secret, concentrating on his music, his family, and his personal recovery, despite the continuous speculation of his fans and following. Jamal Robert, however, became less well known and led a more sedate life away from the limelight, that is, until Ruben just sent a passionate and unexpected message. The words were a final emotional outreach, a request for forgiveness, reconciliation, or perhaps even closure, rather than merely a quick check-in, because it showed a side of Ruben that was rarely seen: vulnerable, regretful, and willing to face the past. The message shocked many people and impacted them even more. In this mail, what did Ruben mention specifically? And why did he choose to unlock this door now after all this time? The responses to these questions are insightful and shed light on themes that many people can identify with, such as growth, regret, and the ability of relationships to mend. The broader background of Ruben's life during the years they were apart, a time of both professional accomplishment and personal difficulty, must be understood before we can discuss the substance of that communication. The next chapter follows from that tale. Ruben Studdard was busy winning over people's hearts and advancing his music career, but the years after his American Idol victory weren't quite easy. The truth behind the scenes was full of personal struggles that Ruben hardly ever discussed in public. Despite his commercial success, Ruben had to navigate the complicated and frequently harsh world of the music industry. After the thrill of the victory subsided, his entire focus was required for media appearances, tours, and album launches. However, Ruben also had to contend with the tremendous pressure of being the American Idol champion. Ruben's dilemma was exacerbated by a strong sense of personal duty, not only to his career but also to his family and others close to him. This was a problem for many victors before and after him. Fans could only get a peek of Ruben's emotional suffering during this time through interviews and infrequent unguarded moments. The anguish of personal relationships falling apart, the loneliness of traveling, and the strain of continual public scrutiny all had an impact. According to reports, Ruben was experiencing depressive episodes that were made worse by the widening gap between him and some of his closest friends, including Jamal Robert. The fact that Ruben's silence on these difficulties frequently conceals the extent of his suffering is among the most moving facts that have emerged. Despite his reputation for gentleness and humility, he was a guy who struggled to maintain his sense of reality. Reaching out for help, even from people like Jamal, who had previously been his rock, became even more difficult as a result of this internal conflict. Meanwhile, rumors started to circulate regarding the causes of their separation. While some insiders hypothesized about personal disputes that resulted in months and finally years of quiet, others alluded to miscommunications concerning commercial disputes. Up until today, Ruben has never discussed the details in public. Despite these rumors, this extended stillness is broken by the latest message, which is what makes it so potent. Ruben, who had previously come across as aloof and private about his personal life, decided to openly admit the previous lapse with Jamal Robert in a heartfelt and apologetic statement. This wasn't merely a friendly hello or an apology, it was a heartfelt examination of his own path, his errors, and the people he had left behind. This particular instance is noteworthy because it demonstrates Ruben's development as a man who is prepared to face his past and make atonement, in addition to his maturation as an artist. However, what was it that he said in that message? What emotions did he convey? And what was Jamal Roberts' reaction to this surprising outreach? The responses show the real essence of Ruben Studdard's narrative, and are both heartwarming and unexpected. Before we share the message though, let's examine the compelling background of Ruben's recent professional comeback and emotional metamorphosis, which served as a prelude to this healing moment. Ruben Studdard has been discreetly preparing a comeback in recent years that will not only rekindle his musical career but also reveal a deeper side to him, the artist's more contemplative side. With a fresh emphasis on his artistic abilities and personal recovery, Ruben started to regain prominence after years of ups and downs. His recent albums, which frequently featured themes of forgiving, growing, and resiliency, were praised by fans for having greater emotional depth. indications that Ruben was publicly analyzing his previous difficulties. But many were surprised to learn that Ruben's comeback was about more than just music. Additionally, it was about mending damaged connections. Most significantly, the bond with Jamal Robert, which had been tense and quiet for many years. Behind the scenes, Ruben had been struggling with the weight of unsolved problems and the regret of time missed. Ruben wanted to fill the void created by their separation, but he wasn't sure how to do it after all this time. Then, without warning, Ruben delivered a message that startled fans and many who knew the pair. No, it wasn't just a casual hello or a hazy, "I hope you're doing well." This communication was brimming with unfiltered emotion and frank acknowledgement of errors. Ruben publicly recognized the suffering brought on by their separation and conveyed a genuine desire to mend the scars from the past. In his writing, he described how the years of separation helped him to understand the significance of Jamal Robert as a mentor and friend in his life. During some of his worst times, Ruben acknowledged that he took their friendship for granted and wished he had been more communicative and present. "If I could go back and change things, I would," he said, apologizing for the quiet and the miscommunications that had caused them to drift apart. "I want to make things right going future though, since I can't." This was not merely a public declaration, it served as a lifeline and a sincere effort to repair a long-burned bridge. Many people were moved by Ruben's vulnerability, which showed a side of the artist that few had before seen, one that was modest, reflective, and incredibly human. The tale doesn't stop there though. Jamal Roberts' response gave this story yet another level of nuance and passion. Was the message received by Jamal? Was he prepared to pardon? Or did this story have more to it? More tension beneath the surface, more unresolved sentiments. Nobody anticipated the sequence of events that ensued, which included intimate discussions, tearful reunions, and shocking disclosures that brought their friendship's genuine depth to light.